you're operating in the field often labeled as deep tech. This is something that's very science and technology intensive. Many entrepreneurs might be even scared to think of it. They would think like, I don't know what it is and how to start it. How do you start even? Like, what are the requirements even to think of being successful in the field? You can talk about what team would you need or what funding you would need, like to be, serious about it in order to start. What is even required?
I think you should not be serious when you start. This is kind of a requirement because you should not lose your enthusiasm and resilience. If we sometimes talk that every startup is kind of marathon, not sprint, then I would say that medtech is even triathlon or Ironman. Even so, it requires actually more resilience and enthusiasm. And the most difficult is to start. And sometimes when I think back, if we would know what is kind of ahead, how actually difficult it is, we probably wouldn't start. So this kind of ignorance or not willingness to think about the challenges that are ahead, it's also positive. But talking kind of, you mentioned more serious. So of course, you can start as a scientist, as we started actually very technical co-founders. We had also one clinician in our team. So we started like 3 people and entirely from scientific background plus clinician. What we actually quite quickly understood that we are missing very important parts, and these were, of course, regulatory and business development. It's not a deal breaker in the beginning. Of course, you can start without those two. And anyway, you first want to figure out what you are doing for who and so on. But of course, you should have this business development and regulatory competence after some time on board. And the most easy way in the beginning is to have it through different like networks, incubators, accelerators, and then you can take, for example, business co-founder or someone who is like more of constantly in the team. I think it's super important because we have many good, very strong technical co-founders in different startups. But if this business development side is missing, then it's very hard actually to figure out direction. You can just fall in love with your science, with your product, and for example, launch too late or develop your product for yourself, not for the market. So this is why I think it's very important. And on the later stages, also, if we talk about medtech, then reimbursement is, of course, very important, that someone wants to pay for your product. So basically, government wants to cover it, because very often it's also key for success, that you know how do you get into reimbursement. And often it actually also influences a lot your product development.
Interesting. Yeah, you mentioned I think making this match between scientific mind and this business mind, and I mean, if you make a good match, you can go really far together. Maybe you can give us insight, like from your perspective as this scientific type of founder, what traits and skills you would look for in this business side of partner, founder, early employee, because there could be a lot of people listening that thinking, okay, maybe I can use my sales skills or my product market fit skills and join such a startup. But like, what would you be looking for in those roles?
That's a very good question. And actually, we did not find our business developer from the first attempt. So I'm probably not the best person to give this advice, or maybe it even puts me to actually good position because we failed with that and then we were successful. So what actually I think is the most important, that this business person still is able to understand science, because it's kind of a big mistake if you think that it's only purely sales, like in most of the other businesses. actually in some way, one of the goals of this person is to figure out the value proposition, to communicate it very clearly to the clients, and to actually kind of absorb this feedback from clients. So it's, of course, the work of CEO, but also of this business development person. And without having a kind of scientific understanding or understanding very deeply the product, it's actually very hard to do. So yes, I think for early business developer, it's very important to understand this technical part.